Hi, this is Jared with your Dental Marketing Department podcast, your podcast source for all things marketing and dental related. This week I'm going to talk a little bit about my trip recently to the Texas Dental Association's Texas meeting in San Antonio, some feedback and some thoughts I had based on my trip there. But before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about my cool new stuff. My cool new stuff this week is not new at all, and as a matter of fact, it's a rediscovery. I was with my family, my 4-year-old and my wife, this weekend in Portland, Oregon, at the OMSI, the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, and they had a series of brain teasers. They had tables out where you could do different puzzles and different things and challenge yourself to these. And I love brain teasers, and I was playing around with them, and it made me think of something that I used to love to play with, and I haven't played with in a long time, and that is the Rubik's Cube. So not cool new stuff at all, but if you're like me and you haven't played with one in 15 years, it's definitely new once again. So it's a great way to challenge your brain, also to kind of push yourself and think outside the standard box. So often we go into work, we do the same things over and over and over again, but the Rubik's Cube, although it's silly and it's just a game, it can really kind of challenge your brain a little bit and step outside of the norms that you usually have. So my cool new stuff is really cool old stuff, and that's the Rubik's Cube. If you haven't played with one in a while, see if you can pick one up at the store, play around with it, and see how you do. I challenge you to see if you can get it done in less than 15 minutes. All right, so I want to talk about the Texas Dental meeting. We were there for On Demand Dentist. You'll notice I'm wearing the On Demand Dentist shirt this week, and that's because I've been doing a lot of marketing and stuff for our franchise business. Now, On Demand Dentist is an emergency dental clinic that we started to supplement our regular dental practice. But when we started it, we didn't want to have to work in it on a regular basis, and we decided to make it as systematized as possible so it could run without us being in the practice, or run with just purely associates. Remember, about 50% of the population only goes to the dentist when they have a toothache. Unfortunately, most dental clinics aren't set up to provide after hours and weekend care to people with toothaches if they're not patients of record. So essentially, 50% of the population in most markets goes underserved. Now, where do they go when they have a toothache that's excruciating? They end up at the emergency room or an urgent care that really can't help them out. So that's why we created On Demand Dentist. Now, as we were looking for different systems and ways to create good systems, we naturally turned to the franchise model because franchising is known for its systems. And we weren't originally going to franchise the practice, but we wanted it to be able to run on autopilot. And so we figured those systems would really help us out. The more we looked into franchising, the more we realized that franchising On Demand Dentist would allow us to perpetuate the brand, also to help more patients around the country and actually around the world as well, hopefully, but also to help dentists expand their practices and their business into other niches without having to dedicate themselves to that practice. So we were there at the Texas meeting because we've been working on a large multi-unit regional development in a particular region in Texas. And we were there with a booth at the dental meeting to sell emergency dental franchises to other dentists. As I was walking around the meeting, and I go to dental meetings quite a bit, and I always notice this, but I noticed it in particular because I was there for 3 straight days this weekend, there are a myriad of marketing companies at a dental meeting. Now, some of them create websites, some of them create apps, some of them create Facebook pages, some of them create mobile websites, some of them just do regular marketing. But there might be, if there's 300 booths, there might be 10 that are just on marketing. Now that seems like a lot to me, coming from a standpoint of I've had a website for our practice, and the website is one of the most valuable aspects of our practice. If we were ever to sell it, the website might be worth more than the practice itself because that's what brings in most of our patients. So when I see this, my thought is always, are there really that many dentists out there without a website who need marketing help? And the answer is yes. I've listened to these marketing companies talk. In one particular case, on the first day of the conference, I was watching somebody, one of the booths, selling their services to a dentist. Their first question to the dentist that walked by was, do you have a website? And the dentist looked at him kind of sheepishly, kind of went, oh, well, no, I don't have a website yet. And my first thought was, how are you still in practice without a website? And honestly, I live in a narrow-minded world where everybody has websites. And I realize that not all practices are digital and paperless. Not all practices have websites and apps. To me, if you're successful without those things, you could be infinitely more successful with them. So if you don't already have a website, you are really missing out on a huge benefit to your practice. Our website we use to bring in patients. Now, we've created our website for one of our practices. We've had it for 5 or 6 years now. That particular website, because of how long it's been around and because for a long time, every single day we were adding more content to the site, we receive a lot of good rankings on Google. We're at the top of the rankings on pretty much every keyword you could imagine that fits our niche. So we get a lot of new patients through that website. But more than that, what we're doing is using that website to build relationships with potential patients. When we build a relationship with a potential patient, what we're doing is we're providing information to them that's of value. We're answering their questions and we're building trust. When you provide answers to questions without asking for anything in return, the patient begins to trust you. Now, when it's time to get dental work done, what's going to happen? That patient's going to turn to you to get that dental work done because they've already built a virtual relationship with you in your practice. We use our websites to do that a lot. We provide a lot of free information. We answer a lot of questions, and when that patient is ready, they call us. With one of our practices, not on-demand dentist, but a different one, we have patients that travel from all over the world. The practice is in San Diego. We have patients that fly in just to see us from Japan, Canada, Australia, the East Coast, all over the world. Now, there are a lot of dentists between Japan and San Diego that could help out these patients. Why do they come to us? Because we've provided answers to the questions that they've had, and we haven't asked for anything in return. They have trust in us. They believe that we're going to do what's best for them because we are. We've shown that. We've proven it ahead of time on our website. That's one of the biggest hidden values of having a website. And when I go to these meetings and I hear people say they don't have websites, it baffles me because you're relying solely on referrals and street traffic if you don't have a website. You're hoping that when they come in for the exam, they're coming in based on price essentially because they have nothing else to judge you on. And you're hoping when they come in, they like you enough to keep coming back. When you have a website, you remove a lot of that mystery. If you're a good dentist and you have a good facility and you have good staff and you care about your patients and you do what's right for your patients, that will shine through on your website and your patients will be able to see that long before they ever come in. Now, wouldn't you like to already have a patient that trusts you before they ever walk in the door? You should always have a website. I'm not selling websites. I used to, and I'm not pushing it today. What I'm saying is if you don't already have that, you should. Now, a lot of these businesses that are selling websites at the dental shows drive me nuts as well because they're creating what I like to call an online business card. Their websites aren't an interactive website. Our on-demand website is an interactive website. We have testimonials on our site. We're allowed to have those here. We have sliders that move. We have movement on here. We have recent articles. We add new content all the time. You can find out information about our dentists. You can find out information about some of the different services we offer. We actually have a series of frequently asked questions. One of the things that we push a lot is the frequently asked questions. Now, a lot of patients just want to know what to do. In this case, let's say they have a toothache. They just want to know how do they get rid of the toothache without coming in. Traditionally, dentists like to say, well, we can't help you with that. You have to come in because it could be anything. But the reality is, if they had a filling fall out and it's not too sensitive, they can put some dental wax in there and at least hold them over for a few hours before they see the dentist. Why not just tell the patient that? The patient's going to trust you more, and then they're going to call you when it's time to get that filling replaced. So we add all those things on here. What do I do if my tooth breaks? When should I visit the emergency dentist? I don't have insurance. How can I pay? What are dental emergencies and how can I avoid them? We add articles in here all the time. So we're constantly putting in new articles, new information. And when you're constantly adding more content to your site, it's not just this static business card that doesn't really provide anything of value to the patient. A lot of dental practice websites have a picture of the dentist, a little bit about the office, a list of services provided, a phone number, and an email address. And that's it. It's about a 5 to 10 page website if you're lucky. Might have some forms on there as well, maybe a link to your Facebook page. But that's really all it provides. Nothing ever changes. Here's the problem with that. Once the patient goes there once to call you, the patient will never visit your website again. Why does that matter? The goal is to get the patient into your office, right? The goal is also to have Google rank you higher so more patients will find your website. And if a patient only visits your site once and that site is never updated, you're going to have a very difficult time getting higher in the Google rankings. So I use websites to be a repository of information that's always changing. If you're going to buy a website from somebody, make sure that either you have the ability to quickly and easily add new content and articles on a regular basis, or that they are including that service as part of the charge when you sign up for them. A static business card is not what you need. You can get that prepackaged through GoDaddy or any number of other services without having to pay a lot of money because it says dental on it. We all know that things in dentistry simply cost more. Why pay extra for a dental website if all you're getting is a static business card that's online? So as you're going through these and you're looking for more things, make sure you're asking questions like, can I update my site regularly and easily? Can I add articles? Will you add articles? How many pages are included? Make sure that those things are part of the contract and part of the agreement as you get a website. Other things I mentioned earlier were things like a mobile app. You don't really need a mobile app for your practice. Nobody's going to download your app in order to get your information. Now, they might download your app if your app is providing tooth care tips on a weekly basis or valuable information to them. But if your app only has your contact information and a little bit about you in it, nobody is going to want to look at that app on a regular basis and download it and go to the trouble of having it on there. It's not something, I mean, if it's something that you get included with your website, then that's great. But it's not something that you really need to pay extra for as you go through this process. Do you need a mobile website? Well, a good website today will be what's called responsive. And if it's on a computer, it will look like this. If it's on a phone, it will look smaller. I have my iPhone here, and if I were to bring up our On Demand Dentist website on the iPhone, it will actually adjust the menus and adjust the sizes and the layout to fit the screen shape. So it's responsive to the type of device that's using it. You shouldn't need to pay for a separate mobile website. Make sure that whatever website you buy is going to be mobile capable out of the box. So that kind of leads me to my awesome tip this week. If you don't have a website currently, you need to start looking for one. I don't want to recommend a company today because there are a lot of good companies out there, and I would be remiss to mention just one. I want you to ask those questions that I said to make sure that you're getting high value when you buy a website for your practice. My tip is, once you have that website, or if you already have that website, assign one of your staff members to manage it and make sure that it changes on a regular basis. By regular, I'm saying try to change it once a week. Put a new picture up, new information up, new content up. You don't need to change the layout on a weekly basis. That can be confusing for people because they won't know if they're going to the same practice website every time. But you do want to provide some regularly changing content on your site. Assign that to a staff member and make sure that every Monday morning or Friday afternoon or Wednesday at noon, that website's being updated on a regular schedule. That's my awesome tip this week. I appreciate you listening or watching. This podcast is available on video. If you're watching it on video, this is also available as a podcast on iTunes. This is our new format, so check it out. It'll be on Vimeo, YouTube, and iTunes as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. I hope it's of help. If you have any questions, you can always get in touch with us at bigdiastema.com or at your dental marketing department, which is dentalmarketingdepartment.com. We currently have some implant marketing kits available on that website, dentalmarketingdepartment.com. So if you are currently placing implants, and want some help marketing them, check it out there. Where some videos and some pre-written marketing pieces that'll really make it easy for you. Thanks so much for listening to Your Dental Marketing Department. This is Jared, and we'll see you again soon.